Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings just ended today, and ho boy, do I have some thoughts for you guys. It's just so nice seeing something like this come out for the Sonic franchise. I mean, it has been a rough, 10 years. You know, it's one of those things that it just feels so good to be back, and wow, we got 3 little episodes to talk about, and overall, I think they were really good. Some little issues here or there. I do want to cover each episode and kind of give my little thoughts on each of them, and then we'll do like an overall thoughts and kind of discussion. So before we get started, what do you guys think on The Dark Beginnings? I would really love to see what you guys say. I love reading the comments and stuff like that. But with that all out of the way, let's get into it. Episode 1, Shadow Maria, starts with Maria taking Shadow to look at the Northern Lights. This is where Shadow kind of like questions his existence, and Maria kind of gives a little comfort, which honestly, it's just so nice seeing something wholesome between the two, because it's always like a flashback, something bad with Shadow Maria, but the fact that we got to see something very kind of wholesome for at least a short time was really nice. Really nice. But then that's when the explosion happens and when Emerald takes over and Shadow rushes off to fight him. Wow. The fight choreography here was absolutely spectacular. This is kind of everything I've wanted to see from like a new animation of Sonic the Hedgehog or, you know, Shadow or whatever. The fight choreography was so great that it kind of trended on Twitter a little bit. It kind of popped off, went viral. That's how great it was. But that's when Shadow realizes that he's kind of caught in some sort of bad dream or illusion, and that's when Shadow starts seeing like a rapid fire of his past, and Maria dying, Gerald getting executed, gun soldiers firing, and he kind of snaps out of it and shoots a Chaos Sphere right at a tree, which was fucking badass as shit. I mean, oh man. And that's when Shadow kind of learns that this is more than just a one-off thing. This doesn't really happen. So he goes seeks off for answers. And overall, I think this was a pretty great start to the prologue. I do believe, as great as those fight scenes were, as great as they were, as amazing as they were, I also feel like it is a bit more style over substance. I mean, when that clip got really popular on Twitter, it wasn't about any of the story beats, it was just Shadow and Emerald fighting, and don't get me wrong, that's really great for people to get into the games, get into the Shadow lore and stuff like that, but it does go to show that people mostly just care about fight scenes kind of nowadays. They don't really care about the kind of expedition or anything afterwards. We have to remember that this is a prologue, it's not meant to kind of like, you know, 20-minute length episode, so I will give it the pass this episode. Overall though, amazing. A 9 out of 10 is still fucking incredible. Also, another note here, the fact we actually get to see the moon being, you know, still destroyed is absolutely awesome. Just seeing it from that angle of like the stuff around it, you know, the particles, what was left over, the debris, was wow. Like, being a fan of the Sonic canon feels so good right now. All those Sonic canon doesn't matter, and that's okay. People are crying right now because, man, we are so back, baby. It is just very nice to see him actually acknowledge the moon being destroyed. Episode 2, Find the Way, starts off on the Ark again. We actually get to know the gun commander's name. His name was Abe, or Abraham, which that was always something that was in the Archie comics, but they brought it to the games, and you know what? That's cool. That's cool. Doesn't mean Archie is canon, people. Calm down. All it means is that he has a name now. It's Abe, Abraham. Hi, Abe. Anyway, so it also starts with Shadow kind of like claiming that he's no different from the Black Arms, or the kind of the creatures that are stuck in the test tubes, and he kind of questions. He's not really a hedgehog. He's just one of these weird aliens. And that's when Maria comforts him, saying one day he's going to find his people, and one day he's going to find out who he really is. And that's when it kind of transitions to Shadow kind of assumingly raiding a Eggman base, and while he's doing that, he finds Rouge and Omega, and the fact that Team Dark reunites, they kick some ass, is so awesome to see. Man, I really want to see my face from like 10 years ago, back in like 2015, 2014, see this, because he would pop off so much. Man, it just feels good. It just feels good, man. I know some people don't really like the dialogue here, in particular Omega saying, "I call dibs," but honestly, like, I don't care. You know, Omega was always kind of like the funny destruction robot. Like, all he cares about is just destroying Eggman robots. So you know what? I'll take it. I like it. I think it's funny. And sometimes you need that funny. And Omega is a funny guy. He calls dibs to destroy the Eggman robots. But after that's all said and done, Shadow kind of asks Rouge if there's a way that he can get a spaceship. And Rouge kind of says, you know, she can find something, but she also wants Shadow to go to Sonic's birthday party, which ties directly into Sonic Generations, and that's just so cool, man. Like, I remember getting Sonic Generations when it came out for Christmas, and just the fact that we get some, like, more supplemental context to, like, why Shadow was even there to begin with, because Shadow doesn't really do that kind of thing, is really cool. He never wanted to be there. Rouge made him go there. That's hilarious. And also, Rouge kind of says, hey, you wanna raid a gun base? And that was cool to hear. Just the fact that Gun is now a part of the picture again. Hearing Gun, hearing Rouge doing her spy work, actually being a spy, getting intel for Gun. I don't know. That was something else. I really love seeing that. But that kind of where the episode ends, and this kind of leads me into, I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not, but I think part 2 is definitely the weakest out of the trilogy. It relies way too much on action and kind of like the flashing colors versus like, you know, actual story, because it feels like a huge part of it was missing. Like a huge chunk of it was just taken out for some reason. Like, I don't know, I can't be the only one that thinks this, right? Because the entire time I was watching it, I was just kind of feeling, oh, okay, so when's it gonna give us some story stuff? And this kind of leads into like the whole PlayStation exclusive thing, which I will talk about later because I think that is kind of a big problem. Overall, this was still good. I still really liked it. Like, it was still like a good 7, 8 out of 10, but I definitely feel like there was something missing, and this was pretty much the weakest episode. The thing that saves it is just the fact that, holy shit, Team Dark is doing something again. It, you know, it feels good to see it back, and I think Dark Beginnings really relies on you knowing who these characters are for it to be good. But hey, as I said, this is a prologue. This is not Sonic X, this is not some anime, this is not some wrong-running thing, this is just a prologue for a video game, so we should all keep that in mind going forward. Episode 3 immediately starts at the gun base. This is where Rouge kind of tells Shadow, like, you know, leave your kind of vendetta out of this particular mission, and that's when Shadow claims that Gun isn't his enemy tonight, just an obstacle, which, oh my gosh, honestly, out of the entire Dark Beginnings trilogy, this has to be one of, if not my favorite part in the entire thing. Like, I'm being dead serious. This little line, Shadow's smirk and him looking off to, like, the gun stuff, oh, this is such an incredible, like, I guess, semi-development for his character, because Shadow working for Gun in 06, which is such a controversial decision, and it seems that Shadow never actually fully forgave Gun. He just more so teams up with them sometimes when it's within his convenience. And it just really kind of seems to me that they're trying to marry both SA2 Shadow and post-06 Shadow and kind of bring it into one big thing to satisfy both sides, and I think that's the best thing they can do for the character, best thing to do for everyone in the fan base, because, oh man, this was so awesome, because I was one of those people that was kind of miffed at Shadow working for Gun. So hearing that line was just, wow, yes, finally. And the fact that he actually spared the gun soldier too, which, holy crap, Shadow holding the missile, throwing it back, and then jumping on the thing and, like, ripping the whole, so cool. And, you know, and he spares the gun soldier, which tells me he holds a grudge for more so Gun as an organization, not the people in it. Because if you remember SA2, he was just taking out pretty much everyone. The fact that he spared a gun soldier tells me that he doesn't have anything against the people who work for Gun today, because it's not the same gun on the Ark 50 years ago, but he does have a sort of grudge for the gun name in general, which, yes, thank you, Sonic Team, thank you, Ian Flynn, thank you everyone who wrote this. Holy shit, this was so good, so fucking good. I don't know, I'm freaking out on you guys, but it's just, as a longtime fan, and as a fan that watched the series go through its, like, I guess, darkest era, through the 2010s, and watching it do something like this, holy shit, we are so back, man, yes! Also, what I love about the animation, the choreography, is just showing what a massive power force Shadow is. I mean, chaos control, and he's taking out all the missiles, and then he, like, just destroys that robot. Holy cow. And that's when he runs into the rocket, and Omega kind of goes, hey, I wanted to take him out, which, I don't know, that's just funny. That is just hilarious. But then, once he gets in the rocket, Rouge launches it, and then kind of goes into an emergency shutdown, and that's when the gun's trying to shoot down the rocket, because someone unauthorized tried to pilot it. So Rouge is kind of freaking out, and that's when Abe actually kind of tells Gun to kind of hold down, you know, this is Shadow the Hedgehog, and Rouge and Abe have a conversation where Abe kind of goes, I wish you would just come to me and talk to me, which, That's so cool. Just hearing this guy talk again, the development of this character with Shadow the Hedgehog, and he kind of likes Shadow now, and he respects Shadow, and he would just wish Shadow would talk to him. That is just so impactful. So impactful. Oh my gosh. And that's where Rouge says that there's only one person that Shadow would ever listen to. You know, I'm trying not to get emotional here, because, oh my gosh, this scene coming up, man. But Abraham kind of says, yeah, and that person is lost to us now. And then the scene comes on with Shadow is in the shuttle and the music plays and he gets overrun with his emotions of thinking about Maria, and then he stops himself from getting too emotional as that gorgeous song from Crush 40 plays. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen anything that impactful for the Sonic franchise in years. Frontiers made me a little teary-eyed. I will be fair to Frontiers, but this ending scene is absolutely amazing in every regard. It honestly blew me away. Genuinely got me emotional. It got me to feel something, which for the Sonic franchise hasn't happened in years, man. Like, Unleashed. Shadow's reaction to seeing his past right in front of him, right in front of his eyes, was so real. It felt so real. And while also being on his way back to the Ark, everything at once is coming back to him. Let's not forget, Black Doom just sent him through his past again. Oh gosh, wow. That part in particular, 10 out of 10, honestly. Absolutely 10 out of 10. And this is where, I wouldn't say this was controversial at all, but some people, some kind of, a little slower people kind of say that this goes against Shadow's character development in 05, and this is absolutely wrong for multiple reasons. And let's just start with the fact that you never fully forget your trauma. I mean, you can move past it, but that's a very important distinction. Trauma is not something you can just forget about forever. You can move on from trauma, but that's a very, very important distinction. Trauma is something you can move on from, but you never really forget it. This is what that is. This is what we're seeing right in front of us. And a lot of people, I think like just Sonic fans in general, take everything a little too literally, but people take Shadow 5's ending way, way too literally. He's not disregarding his past entirely, and he's not quote-unquote over it. Shadow learned in 05 to not let his past define him, and he's not going to spend the rest of his life looking for answers and stuff like that. And trauma is not like a computer file. You can't just delete that permanently. It's always going to be there a little bit on the inside. And I think anyone, especially with someone like Shadow who went through what he did, would get at least a little emotional seeing his past right in front of him. And I just don't think a lot of Sonic fans can really understand that, because this is not in any way contradictory to Shadow of 5's ending. This is merely a second half. Shadow of 5 was about Shadow not letting his past define him, and this is about what happens when your past comes back to you. And I just think that's beautiful, and I think this game, if done right, I'm praying that the story is good. I think this has potential to be the most impactful Sonic story on the planet, just ever. And I really, really hope that's the case, because man, this was truly something special, and I think we're gonna be rewatching these over and over again for the rest of time. And that's pretty much what I had to say on that. Overall, all 3 episodes put together, I want to give a little bullet points of what I liked and what I didn't like. Starting with what I liked being able to witness the series be cool again, take itself seriously, without any of those neckbeard old heads with their wiggling the little finger going, Sonic can't be cool, Sonic can't be cool. Taking itself seriously is a normal thing for a franchise to do, and it's nice seeing something meaningful from Sonic the Hedgehog franchise again, because what a lot of old heads don't understand is Sonic's entire creation was to be edgy, was to be different, and once the series kind of treaded its water into like the Colors, Lost World, and crap like Sonic Boom, it really lost a core element of Sonic, because Sonic became Mario. It became that, goofy, family-friendly comedy, and that was never Sonic. The Genesis games took themselves seriously within their manuals and their stories, so seeing the Sonic franchise break away from what was holding it back, the old heads, is something amazing, is something I've been gunning for ever since I was a child, because when I was a kid, I liked pretty much everything, so just seeing the franchise being held back in such a huge way by people who claim to be fans is nice, is very nice. It just feels validating. It feels validating as a kid I was told I was wrong. But, moving on, I love the fact they were giving a little more insight on what it was like on the Ark during the whole Black Arms thing, because a lot of the Ark flashbacks and stuff like that, it wasn't Shadow the Hedgehog 2, but a lot of it was in Sonic Adventure 2, a lot of the subtext in Sonic Battle and stuff like that. We never really got to see what it was like on a day-to-day life on the Ark, and we get to see that here, and I think that's really cool. We kind of see the whole Shadow wondering about the Black Arms, looking at the kind of larva of it, and I think that's really neat. I think that's really, really cool, and I think this game could make me a big fan of the Black Arms, because personally, I'm not thrilled on them. I'm not saying I hate them or anything, I'm not saying I dislike them, but I can take them or leave them, but who knows, maybe this game could make me a fan. And even if I'm a bit off-put by this new trend of media that prioritizes flash over substance, the flashy lights and the fight choreography is amazing, and it's sort of an evolution of what makes Sonic cool. Let's not forget that Sonic was always meant to be edgy and cool, and this is a great show of that. This is cool. This is, you know, Sonic. And that leads right into what I didn't like about Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, and I understand that this is just the new trend of media nowadays. Let's not kid ourselves here. Every anime is all about those flashing colors and whatnot, but I do feel like that thrill, all that thrill and stuff kind of overrides actual storytelling and stuff like that, and dialogue in general, which I thought the dialogue was pretty good. The voice acting was pretty good overall for English cast. People don't really like the Rouge VA. I think, you know, as a person, obviously, you know, we're not getting into that, but as a voice actress, I think she did well enough. I think Roger as Abe was really great. Maria, she's okay. She's okay. You know, I'll get used to it. I'll get used to it. That was all fine and good, but I do feel like that action stuff really kind of took priority over the storytelling, and that's not disappointing because I kind of expected it, knowing who was making it going in, but I don't know, I think next time, I think we should get a prologue that's more focused on story stuff. And this leads right into my next point, where it feels like, and especially part 2, there is a lot missing from the dialogue and story. Like, a lot missing. Part 2 felt especially barren. It kind of goes into it, and you're like, oh, whoa, wait, how do we get here? Let's kind of go back a little bit. What happened here? And this goes into the whole PlayStation thing for this game, where Sonic X Shadow Generations comes with an extended prologue if you buy it on PlayStation, which, you know, we're not talking about that, but what I am talking about, how I think it's a bit weird how it advertises deleted scenes, and at first, I was like, okay, maybe some production stuff or whatever, but after watching part 2, that's when I kind of realized that they're definitely chopping this up and uploading to YouTube and letting the full thing be on PlayStation, and I'm not really sure how I feel about that, particularly because I feel like this is something everyone should be able to watch, not people who only own a specific console. If this was actual deleted scenes, I think I'd be more into it, but the fact that it seemingly is going to have stuff that should have been there originally, I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's a bit gross. If anything, I just really hope those deleted scenes don't feel like they were necessary to the whole animation itself, because no, that's wrong. But that's it. That's my entire thoughts on the Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings prologue. What do you guys think about it? I really want to know what you think. Put the comment down below, hit subscribe, hit like, hit all those awesome things. The game is only about 10 days away now. I'm so excited. This is gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you guys. And NNC here signing out. I'll see you guys in the next one.